Star-Lord.
Finish him. Hadouken! Fatality.
And welcome to the Free Your Geek podcast / Facebook Live show. I am your host, Jay Free. In the studio to my left, the usual suspects, KB.
What's up, brother?
And the People's Geek, the Don.
How's it going, big guy?
Oh, he's got the deep voice. Hey. What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing pretty well.
Good. Just kind of finagling. This is our second week in the new studio.
Loving it.
Yeah. See, Don's showing. KB's stretching out, and we have a monitor off screen so I can kind of survey everything that's going on right now. And we have an interesting show today because we were just talking off air that we just basically played a lot of video games for this show.
Yep.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
Best research ever.
Yeah, it's great. We got a couple things before we get into that, though. First of all, today's show is sponsored by Pachico's Furniture, located at 663 Bedford Street, Fall River, Massachusetts. They are having a sale, 50% off your entire purchase for the month of May. So maybe you guys like what we are talking about as far as video games, and you want to go to Pachico's Furniture and buy a video game system. They have video games, they have cartridges, they have Xbox and PS4 and all kinds of computer stuff. They have Cody boxes.
Did you say cartridges?
Cartridges. They could probably, yes.
You're
They could,
showing your age.
well, I am old. Yes.
Genesis cartridges.
Well, not.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some Sega Genesis in today's
I like that.
today's show.
Genesis does. Can't do this in Nintendo. You remember
What?
No, but you should do that again. Do that again for the camera.
Oh my god! Hell yeah! It was after the Paul Rudd commercial. Paul Rudd came out with the Super Nintendo commercial.
Yeah.
He's like sitting there playing everything, and then Genesis' response to that was Genesis does with Super Nintendo. I don't know like the actual beat to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. That's old school.
Just popped in my head.
Well, thank you, KB. Also, want to give a shout out, and I haven't. We're not going to disclose any specific information yet, but friend of the show, gentlemen, Johnny Leathers, has some big news, but I'm not going to spoil it. He's going to be coming on the show sometime soon and talk about what's going on with him. But he reached out to me.
Always
and
love having Johnny on. It's always
Johnny's-
interesting.
Yeah, so
Always interesting.
shout out to Johnny Leathers. Yeah, other than that, what's been going on in your lives? I'm going to share the podcast while you guys are talking. So go ahead and talk for a little bit.
So I mean, you and I have been talking about video games.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. So we're going to talk some Injustice 2.
Ooh, came out what yesterday? Day before?
Came out on Tuesday. Yep. I finished the story. So
Killed
talk
it.
about that a little bit. And I know Jay Free's been playing a lot of the multiplayer. It's been fantastic so far. We talk about, was it the Marvel Heroes
Marvel
Omega?
Heroes, yeah.
So that's in beta right now. That's fantastic. And then our countdown, we're going to be talking about frustrating bosses,
Yep.
basically, or
Bosses
the
slash
most
levels.
Slash
complicated
level. So yeah,
bosses.
the final countdown today will be the top 3 most frustrating video game bosses or levels, or even more fun, most memorable, whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, look at it. Now I get to change it up because my whole mindset was like most difficult Marvel hero.
Oh.
Like, I mean, like in a video
Oh,
Hey,
game.
no, it's
we can do
serious.
we can do a supplemental too. I was doing wide scope,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Cast
no,
that
but
wide
now
net.
I can go a little crazy with it.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Wide scope's more fun.
Also want to point out that for those of you watching today is the 18th, May 18th, Thursday, May 18th. So the 25th, we will not have a show. So we're going to have a week off. I'm not sure if anybody wants to talk about why, but we're not going to be here next week. But that's okay. Everything's cool. Actually, it's for all good reasons. All good reasons. All right. So why don't we kind of get into this? The other thing I want to talk about, but actually maybe before we get into video games, we didn't really talk about this, and I didn't format this, but I want to just talk about so far this year as far as television shows and movies, and then what we're moving toward. Because KB and I were talking a little earlier last week, but there are so many new shows that are coming down the pipeline. I don't know if you watch Preacher.
I started Preacher. I don't know, maybe I got like 30 minutes in, not even.
Wasn't for you?
No, it's not that it wasn't for me. It was, I only get select by myself TV time, like very, very select. And once I get comfortable, you know what I mean, I started watching it. It held my attention, but my eyes just started going. I had to knock out.
And it's tough to get back sometimes.
Yeah.
I
But
hear
I
you.
mean, got a good concept to it.
So Preacher's one I started getting into, but same thing. There's so much TV.
Yeah.
And then Legion was another one.
Yep.
Are you caught up to that?
Yep, caught up with
So
Legion.
that was
Legion's
amazing.
fantastic.
So I have all that on DVR. I got to catch up.
And I don't know. I don't think either of you guys watch it, but another big show right now is Into the Badlands on AMC.
Okay, so I got first season. Like I watched the previews for it, got
Yeah.
really fired up. I started watching that, and I think I got 3 episodes in, and I was like,
Yeah,
I
kinda
don't-
lost it a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was like,
It took a bit to heat up.
Yeah.
So it's really good now. And the second season was fantastic. The choreographed
Fights,
fighting
yeah.
is it's second to none as far as what you'll see on TV. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's up there with like Crouching Tiger kind of stuff.
It's almost like a real life video game.
Yeah.
For television purposes.
But then, what about the stuff that we've had in the past? So we had The Walking Dead recently, right?
Right.
What else did we have? We had
that we're talking about just like
no, just this past year. Like
besides
Yep.
TV shows, I mean, I think we had Logan this year.
Yep.
Yep.
We had Power Rangers this year.
yeah,
We
we've
had
some pretty good stuff.
what just
Guardians.
Guardians.
And Wonder Woman's coming
Yeah,
out
Wonder
next
Woman's
week
coming.
or 2 weeks
which
from now.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. You guys both don't feel like you watched the entire Wonder Woman movie just by that like 5-minute trailer. And
I'm worried about that.
Oh my god!
You
It
think
showed
they-
like everything.
I'm
They
worried
gave away
about
all the
that.
best parts.
I'm worried about
Yeah.
that. I mean, it looks fantastic, but that's happened to me a number of times where you see that in a movie, and I felt that way with I think it was the last Riddick movie
Yeah.
that came out. It was all these awesome parts, and I got into in the trailer. I get to the movie, and I'm like, I want my money back. Like this is so bad.
Yeah.
Like I want my money back. So I kind of worry about that when I see too much in the things. What was interesting about Guardians 2 is the trailers. I noticed the scenes from the trailers.
Yeah.
They diverted a little bit in the movie. Like there's a scene where like Drax is like making fun of Star-Lord. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you need a hug." Like they took that "you need a hug" part out of it. Like they changed the scenes
Yeah.
a little bit.
Tweaked it.
So I can appreciate that. You know,
Just want to give a quick shout out to both Beth and Jay Preview who are on here right now. Jay Preview's spitting fire on Guardians right now.
Preview. Yeah, no, I know you're about to watch Alien. I know. Like I told you, I missed last week. I couldn't miss this week, and we won't be here next week. But that movie's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
I want to see Coven.
Yeah.
Well, so here's what we can do then. We should have like kind of like maybe like a swap out thing then if something is going to drop like an Alien and then
Yeah.
you can be like a correspondent to come in and review it.
That'd be pretty cool.
I would not. I mean, the audience
Yeah.
would miss you. We like having you here,
Yeah.
Don. Don't get me wrong, but if you can bring more to the show,
You guys
then,
should probably Skype with me on there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that. I got to
It'd be
figure
pretty
it out.
neat. You know, I could be in the bottom little corner or top corner.
Yeah,
But,
we'll figure that out.
What more is there? Oh wait. What
As far I think she's referring to Wonder Woman, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, no. And Beth also said the same thing about the Mummy, the new Mummy movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I feel like I will not see.
I have
it
no
until
interest in
it's
that.
on-
I have no interest in that movie. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I feel like it's like a reboot and it's not the same thing. Or
I think what they did is just kind of gave us an upgraded like cast basically because I mean Brendan Fraser like first
he's
time
more comical than.
he is, and seeing
action
him
star,
in
yeah.
those roles, I was like, all right, you're gonna play more on the comedy card with these movies.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. You know, whatever. Those movies, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna act like
They were
if I
they were
hate
more
them-
family friendly.
Yeah.
This movie seems a bit more for true fans of something
Yeah,
like
it's like
that.
you throw,
Yeah.
like freaking Ethan Hunt into like the world of zombies.
Is it R rated?
Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
We can look that up
Yeah.
a little bit later.
I haven't looked yet.
When we're doing the countdown, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Sorry.
But I just want to kind of preface that because now they already just launched a new trailer for Black Lightning, a DC hero that's coming to CW next fall. You
No. Because
go ahead.
what's the new Marvel thing coming out?
Runaways
and Inhumans.
Not Inhumans. So
Runaways.
is with the younger kids.
Yep.
All right, that they've been blasting that like
Yep.
crazy on Facebook. I thought it was like somebody like made some. That's
Oh, and
actually
Inhumans
happening?
is getting hits on all kinds of sites.
Yeah.
Because of the IMAX thing.
Yeah,
It's going to be 8 episodes, and the first 2 will be in IMAX.
that's gonna be crazy.
So I just can't. Anybody knows Inhumans, like Medusa's hair is
Yeah.
just. I'm just can't wait to see how they do it. Like the live hair. It's
Well,
gonna be pretty crazy.
yeah, and that's the Marvel side. The DC side, as I
Yep.
said, Black Lightning.
Yeah.
DC's doing a streaming service where they're going to have a live action Teen Titans or a live action Titans with Nightwing leading the charge, and it's going to be on a DC streaming service.
Because that got canned for a while, didn't it? And
that
then
was
they had to
supposed to
find
come.
a new place
It was
for
supposed to come to TNT, and I think they canned it. And DC's like, to hell with it. We'll just do our
Somewhere
own.
else, yeah.
I just hope that they don't try to do it like a CW show.
What are they going to stream on?
DC is doing their own streaming app, and it's
Oh,
going to be
really?
a show based
On
on.
their-
on
See,
their-
I like that.
Yeah.
Because Netflix already kind of has their deal with Marvel, and to put it on your own
Yeah.
network is kind of
Speaking of Netflix and Marvel, The Defenders coming out in a
Defenders.
couple months.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jessica Jones season 2, I think, comes after that.
So pumped! It's going to be a lot of TV,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
and
59 days. We're in 59 media. We got 59 days. Game of Thrones.
that's I was going to just say that we're going
Game
to,
of
and I want to do a show. I want to do maybe like 3 weeks leading up to it or something. Maybe do a couple seasons every show, just like top moments or whatever, and just discuss the seasons. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how you feel about that.
I would love. For
I would
us
love
maybe,
to. I just feel like it's just so much to
What if we did like a grouping, like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, like 4, 5.
try to get a different guest on every week too, if we could. That'd be nice.
Okay. This is this kid Chris. Chris, if you're watching, they just said we'll have some guests on, so we will definitely throw you an invite. He's a comedian. He's very big. We used to work together. He was a huge Game of Thrones fan. That would be my person to chat
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Don brings the guests, man.
Since we're talking, we're talking about everything we got ahead of us this year.
Yeah.
October, we get Stranger Things too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thor's coming November,
Thor looks
right?
really
Or was
good.
it December?
I think it's November.
And then Star Wars December.
Oh, oof.
There's a lot
We're getting
of
hit with
stuff.
a lot
It's
So-
a good year to be a geek.
We're going to have a lot of content for you
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the upcoming months and weeks.
Makes our job a lot easier, doesn't
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's say, like, what are we talking about? Oh, Injustice dropped. Let's talk about Injustice too.
You guys are lucky, man. That game looks really sick.
It's really fun.
I'll
So,
jump on.
what do we want to go into first? Injustice 2, or do we want to go into Marvel?
Well, yeah, because I can kick back and listen and
Okay.
learn a little more.
Okay, sure. So, for those that have played the first Injustice, Gods Among Us, it's essentially a continuation. KB, you've played through the entire story
Yep,
mode.
finished story.
So, try to keep it spoiler free because I've only got through it to like chapter 3 or 4 or something like that. So,
I first of all, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's. I felt like the first Injustice with the 2 dimensions could be a little confusing at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trying to keep track of the versions of which character. What I like about this is that you're it is more into the 1 dimension. We're focused on Superman being locked away after Gods Among Us.
So yeah, at the end of
After the
Injustice,
Injustice,
the
the
first
first
one,
one. Yep.
Superman, basically the storyline is Joker uses, I believe it's Scarecrow's fear toxin, to trick Superman into thinking he's fighting Doomsday, he's fighting Lois Lane, his wife, she's pregnant with a child, he ends up killing her accidentally. When her heartbeat stops, Metropolis gets hit with a nuke. Superman kills the Joker, decides to rule everything with an iron fist because he doesn't want this happening again, and basically becomes the bad guy, the antagonist of the video game, and Batman leads the resistance, if you will.
La Resistance.
So fast forward now in the events of this game, some time has passed.
Yep.
I don't know how long has passed. I think it's been a couple of years or I forget, but it's been a subsequent amount of time. And his identity's been outed, Bruce Wayne. So basically what happens is he's trying to put the world back to the way it was, and that's how the story starts out.
Nice.
Superman is captured at this point.
Yep.
So KB again, just I don't
Yeah,
know
we're
the
not going to
story,
go
but
too
yeah.
far into it, but basically, story is fantastic. It plays by chapters. It's like 10, 11 chapters. Sometimes you get to pick between 2 characters, which is interesting. So I don't know how far Jeffrey got, but there's one level where it's Green Arrow.
That's the one I
Black
just finished.
Canary.
Yep.
So you get to pick which one you want to, go with. And then there's some more levels like that going forward, like Firestorm and Blue Beetle, and obviously
So
Batman.
before we get too into that, though, because I just want to kind of set the stage. That's the story mode. So that basically gives you like kind of like a wide array. Like you get to play as each character in the video game
Go
Yeah.
through their
through
storyline.
their little part of their story.
and it's a good way to learn too.
Right.
It's a good way to learn.
I mean, there is a practice area. There's one on you against the AI. But then my favorite type of gameplay is what they call the multiverse.
Yep.
So that allows you to essentially, it's like all different worlds. So the whole idea of a multiverse, there not being just one Earth,
Yeah.
but multiple Earths that vibrate on different
I
frequencies.
love the intro video to it.
Yeah,
It's really
there's
cool.
a great intro video, but basically it's
Explain it.
almost like every day the screen pops up and there's like 5 or 6 different Earths,
Yeah.
all different
Yep.
colors and whatnot.
It's like
One of
daily
them-
challenges. And
yeah,
stuff.
it's like a daily challenge. One of them is green and purple, so it's all Joker centric.
Yeah.
And one of the so there's a lot of cool different features, but it's basically like you get to unlock like certain gear. So where this changes from the Injustice 1, so those that have played Injustice 1, Injustice Gods Among Us, it's a little bit different because you can actually, not only does your character level up, you can change gear on your characters.
Which
You
has
can
been
change
one of
their
the best
appearance.
parts. Yeah.
So as you fight
Been
through,
fantastic.
you can unlock, for example, Green Lantern has a new mask. And the new mask gives him either more stats to his strength,
That's
his
right.
health,
Yep.
and whatnot. You can't really scale it in that sense because it already has its own stats. You can then upgrade that piece of gear later on, which then makes it more powerful. And there's different ways to do that. But it's just really cool because you can really mess with the looks of your characters just with their armor and their gear. Wow. But then they added another new feature called the shader packs.
Yep.
And the shader packs is so when you basically set up your character and you can choose which gear you want from the head, the torso, the legs, the arms, so forth and so on. You can also choose which type of color scheme you want your armor to have.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's where it brings in, for example, my favorite, they have Captain Cold in the game. And then he has a skin where you can basically, it's the same power set, but turn him into Mr. Freeze
But what's
with his own
interesting-
voices. And,
But yeah, that's what's interesting about it is they weren't lazy with it.
Yeah.
They didn't just say, "Oh, we're going to put a skin over something." Like
And
it has its own character, its own voices, its
Yeah.
own. So that's fantastic, and there's a lot of characters like that in the game. Like Supergirl, there's a Power Girl skin. Flash, there's a Reverse Flash skin. So
And a Jay Garrick.
yeah,
There's
and a
two.
Jay Garrick. So there's quite a few things going on there. Some of the things to point out though that I noticed in story mode is that if you're an average gamer,
Yeah.
like and you play all different kinds of games, play it on easy.
Yeah, just
The
go for it.
medium actually does get. I'm not gonna say it's overly challenging, but if you're an average gamer,
Enough to, like,
it's
you know-
enough to if you want to enjoy the story and just learn and play, play it on easy. I got to some points where certain bosses, even on easy, I had some difficulty, but got through it. One of the things I noticed now, Injustice. One of the things Injustice, the first Gods Among Us was famous for was the stage transitioning.
Yep.
Right.
sick.
I noticed in the story mode you can't seem to do that. I have not been able to do that. I don't know if
I haven't really.
I have
observed
tried
that.
and I have not been able to do it. It might be because of the movies and animation
Yeah.
that play between characters that it doesn't allow it. But it does do it in multiplayer, which is fantastic. I felt like the other nice thing about Injustice, there were so many breakables in the levels.
Yeah.
Like you could throw a lot of things. I didn't feel like there was as much of that here. So that was one
I
of
think that,
the
like,
things.
usually there was like 4
5 or 6. There was a lot.
Yeah, one in the dead center, one on each
There
corner. and then-
is an awesome one in this where you're fighting in a bar and you pick up a drunk guy and you throw him at somebody. So that's pretty cool. Another quick tip, and I told Jay Free this morning, is Brainiac is for sale on the PlayStation Store
Yeah.
for $6. Do not buy him because
Garbage.
you can unlock him.
Oh,
It's one of
yeah.
those deals where they want to either just
Yeah, he
get
mentioned that to me.
people that play multiplayer. Some people do buy it just to play multiplayer.
Yeah.
There are people that are fanatical
Smack
about that.
Online.
Yeah, so if you buy the game, do not buy Brainiac. Just beat the story on easy, and you will unlock
There you
Brainiac.
go.
So, just a word, save yourself $6. Fantastic game. I know Jay Free is not feeling Supergirl.
Well, so here's the thing. I have an issue with some of the, for lack of
She's a big focus of the story.
graphics. I just don't think I don't like her look. I don't like, not that I don't like the character.
Yeah.
I just don't her and Poison Ivy to me just don't resonate as far as to me what they look like. Maybe I'm more tied to their comic book counterparts.
Yeah.
But I just think their faces look off.
Poison Ivy, to me, I think you're right on. I think, and the voice for Poison Ivy isn't the best. The Harley Quinn is fantastic.
Spot on.
Oh, spot on.
Yeah,
they
Harley
did a
Quinn-
fantastic
yep,
job. Of
Harley
Quinn
Quinn's
in this.
great.
She has a lot of nifty roles and there's some comic relief there still, and it's really good. Cyborg looks
So here's the thing. So
Fantastic, too.
Cyborg's cool. How about characters that we
new ones to the series.
Atrocitus, one of the Red Lanterns who spits blood and burning
with the what's the cat's name?
Dexstar.
Dexstar. Yeah, I put the cat with him. It's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
Atrocitus. Who
Blue
else is
Beetle.
good? Blue Beetle's in it. And
Oh,
amazing.
the swords are fantastic. Firestorm. Firestorm's another one.
Firestorm, Supergirl.
Trying to think of some of those. I mean, there's a bunch.
Gorilla-
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing.
I haven't
I
played
know
as him
Swamp
yet.
Thing was in
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
Swamp
Swamp Thing.
Thing's in there too.
Badass.
So you
He's
got to play
badass.
Swamp Thing, and obviously Black Canary.
Black Canary.
She's actually very powerful.
Yeah.
She's got some good
So
powers.
and it's really so. Here's the thing. A lot of it too is depending on your fighting style. Some of them are very much hand-to-hand combat, where some others are kind of think about even Mortal Kombat, because it's obviously developed by the
Yeah.
same thing. But
Another
you have
ones. Yep.
Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage, as opposed to Scorpion and Sub-Zero, who can be on the other side of the screen and hit you with the
Yeah.
So there's
they
different
announced
types
the
of,
first DLC too.
oh, did they?
right.
So, okay.
They announced 3 characters. I can only remember 2. The Red Hood
Red Hood.
Red
Uh,
and
Starfire.
Starfire, and there's a third one. I cannot think of the third
is
one.
it Sub-Zero?
I think it is.
I think Sub-Zero is going to be so because it's made by the same
Yeah,
developers.
they always like to pop it
Ed-
up.
Ed-
in
Ed
MK
Boon.
Con.
Ed Boon does it, so
yeah.
he's bringing in. Last game they had Scorpion as a,
Yeah.
and now it's going to be Sub-Zero. So that's kind of cool.
So that I'm looking forward to the whole Starfire
So-
thing. That's
yeah, that looks good.
but
I wanna just say-
overall it's fantastic.
Yeah, so you've pretty much used all the characters.
No, I've just played through the story, so that allows me to
Okay,
use a bunch of them.
who so far who do you view like the best, and who do you like the least?
Who do I like the least? I love Cyborg's look, but I don't like playing as him. I
Okay.
feel he's a little rugged, a little not sticky, but what's the word? It does like 'cause the
Slow?
controls
Sluggish?
don't flow, like sluggish. Yeah. Honestly, the Supergirl is actually pretty
She's a
powerful
beast,
and
yeah.
she's pretty much a beast. I haven't played as Brainiac yet, but I can't wait to play as
He's like,
Brainiac.
"No, I can't.
I
I
will
never
just
played
say
it."
that as far as the boss level kind of stuff in what was going on there. So my least favorite, yeah, is probably Cyborg so far.
Interesting. My least favorite is Poison Ivy. My favorite, yeah, I have two: Swamp Thing and Darkseid. Darkseid is amazing.
Yeah, what do you think about the Joker in this? What did you think?
The
design.
I think the design is cool. It's kind of like
It's different.
It kind of reminds me of almost like a Heath Ledgerish look, but more with like the Jared Leto.
It's like they mixed
personality.
it. It's
Wow,
like they
it's
mixed
good.
it. Yeah, and it looks
it's
really
long
good.
hair, like he's got
But
the
very
long coat,
skinny,
but he's got
very,
very
like-
skinny, no shirt on underneath the long coat, and he's got the tattoos on his abs.
It's like they took the two and they just kind of
We're just gonna make this guy right here.
yeah.
It's
And
I like it.
looks
It's
fantastic.
it's a great game. The graphics are amazing.
Yeah.
I've only gotten through like the first.
No slowdown.
Yeah,
No slowdown, no screen clipping, none of that. Like they polish this
smooth,
thing.
yeah.
and
They
I
polish
have
this
and I
thing.
have it
Oh,
running. I have it running off an external hard drive. I don't even have it on my PlayStation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and that's
you
one of the
download
things-
it?
Yeah, I downloaded it. I just basically pre-ordered it midnight, let
Yeah.
it download.
A lot of
and,
space, huh?
Yeah, with one of the PlayStation updates. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about, but you
do
can
the
you can
external
put an
hard
external hard drive. I went out and bought a 4 terabyte hard drive, and I just hooked it up, and I'm like,
Got games for days.
yeah. So, because I get sick and tired of like deleting my
Deleting?
games.
I've been doing
such
it
a
for
pain.
while.
It's such a pain. And you go through it so quick. Like
Yeah.
my Xbox, I think I have 1.5 gigs. My Xbox One, and I'm already pretty much through it. And I've had to delete a bunch of stuff. Like these games just take up so much space today.
They do
50,
Everything-
60 gigs.
and then you get in patches.
What
and
was,
updates every other week?
The last Batman game was what 75 gigs with all of its DLC. Like it
Was
was
that Arkham Knight?
yeah. That's a lot of
Yeah,
that's
that
a
game
lot of
was
data.
crisp though. That
Yeah.
game was like really crisp.
Yeah, and that was like the best DLC value ever. That
Yeah.
season pass was the more free money than any season pass I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love it. So to kind of let's tie the bow on this one before we get into Marvel.
We need to
Heroes
start a
Omega.
guild.
We do need to start a guild. So I don't know what that is. Like,
But I've seen it out there. So.
okay, so no, but no, that's good. So that's some final thoughts. We need to start a guild. So apparently, after you reach a certain level,
Yeah.
you can create your own like team of heroes. Is that
Yeah.
what it is?
I think so. Yeah,
So I haven't delved too
much.
much into it, but the three of us, especially if we're going to try to get our Twitch thing up
Yeah.
and running, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
We have the Free Your Geek Guild.
They had that in Mortal Kombat, the last Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
too.
so okay. So then you can. So do you know? Because I know nothing about it. Okay,
I
you know.
bought Mortal Kombat, played it for 2 days, and returned it. Bought Infinite Warfare, played that for 2 weeks, and sold it. And then got Ghost Recon.
Do you finish these things, or do you kind of like?
Nope. I lose interest. I see the new thing coming out, and I'm like, I
So-
want that.
So, what games do you usually beat? Things like Resident Evil and
Games. Let's see.
that.
So
it has to be really story driven, right?
Yeah,
For it
completely
to suck you
story-driven.
in.
Because even the last RPG I picked up was Final Fantasy 15, and I've probably only put 2 hours worth
Yeah.
of gameplay in, and I lost interest.
Yeah, I just finished Mass Effect Andromeda, and
Yeah.
it was like probably 50, 60 hours. You know, I took vacation just to
Yeah.
like kill it,
Like,
just
I'm
to like
just gonna
finish it.
hammer through this game.
And my wife was like, no problem, because I
Yeah.
hadn't taken a vacation since we got married in September. So she's like, just do whatever you
Yeah.
need to do. So it was awesome. So I was literally like playing from like 8 to like 4 in the morning, like just jamming through it.
Old days.
And then I get to the end, I finish it, and then I read online, no DLC will be coming for Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm like, ugh, bite me. But anyway, moving on.
Well, before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to John Viveris. I don't know if he heard that or if he just joined.
Johnny V.
But he wants to know which is the strongest character because he sees Captain Cold getting a lot of love on the competition streams here.
I haven't played them all yet to know every single one.
You know what I'll say? I played.
I mean, obviously, Superman and Supergirl are just.
I fought
they're little
Atrocitus
powered.
earlier today before coming here,
Yeah.
and he was kicking my butt, dude. Like all of his combos together are
this on
absolutely
medium,
crazy.
or-
This was on easy.
Yeah.
And he was still
That's what
kicking
I'm
my
saying.
ass.
This game, like, if you're an average gamer, play it on easy.
Yeah.
Medium, you'll get frustrated.
Yeah, I would say again, stronger characters. You know, I mean, you have the big ones: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. But to me, I like Green Lantern. Like I was talking to him.
I couldn't get his power set to really work well for me.
So I have a buddy of mine, Paul, and if you're watching, he actually played. He loves this game. He got it the day it came out. Took the day off from work. Did I think 14 hours worth of gameplay. Like he's a trooper for this. And
he's the guy who's playing it on hard.
Yeah, he's basically saying like he hasn't tried out the online stuff yet, and he's just like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really good on the online stuff. And to me, get the Green Lantern as your online guy because you control with him. Like he's got moves that he can shoot out his ring and grab you if you're close to him, but if you're across the screen, he can still fire
A lot of
ring blast
deflection.
at you. Lots of deflection. He can build. You know, like
Harley's really strong too.
yes, she's the other one.
Harley
I'd
is
say
a
Harley,
beast.
Swamp Thing, and Green Lantern.
Harley
are like my
has this
favorites.
awesome move where if you hit the circle button, she has like this. Was it like a hyena?
Yeah, so basically,
Like runs and charges you, and it's a great like if somebody's close to you and ready to attack,
Quick
just-
stun attack,
Oh yeah,
roll in.
so
stun.
so that's another thing too is within the game is you also have a secondary power set where you can do your combos, you can do your, you know, like for example, Batman, throw your batarang, shoot your grappling hook, but then you can hit the circle button or whatever the equivalent is on Xbox, and it does like he surrounds himself with 3 bats, and you hit circle again, and it goes right after your opponent, and does very, very light damage, but it's enough to maybe distract him so you can like kind of,
Get in
you know,
closer for
exactly.
get a combo rolling.
Yep,
Or
yep.
high,
But it's
damage
a
attack.
great game, but that's on the DC side.
DC.
We
So
also
Jeffrey, one more thing before
Yeah.
we close. When
Oh.
you get to fight Brainiac in the story,
yeah.
you have to tell me what you think because it's pretty brutal.
Well, I've played Brainiac in some of the multiverse stuff,
Yeah.
and if it's in his lair,
yeah.
oh my god, like
that's
the,
basically-
the world comes alive.
This is basically what I was talking about because this is one of the boss levels in the story.
Yeah.
and that's why it would have been in my countdown. Because
Right.
It's
Sounds
he has like this one thing where like this big
Arm tentacle,
tentacle comes up to the floor,
Grabs
and
you?
it literally takes away like half of your health bar.
so you got to keep
Yeah.
moving. You can't be still.
Can't stand still with that one. So
But,
yeah, moving on. To
Yeah,
what, Marvel?
let's talk about Marvel now. You two guys are a little bit more well versed than I am because I just got into this. So why don't you guys? I love how the eyebrows. the
Don's the one who got me into it, so Don
Alright.
can
yeah,
start.
the people's eyebrow.
So I don't know how far back as far as like these specific type of games, like how far back you guys go with it. Like X-Men came out for PlayStation 2, 4-player action RPG game. You get to like play with all of your favorite X-Men good guys.
I don't remember that game.
Me and my group of friends, we got ourselves because in the days of PlayStation 2, you need to get the multi-tap to get
Yeah.
you know. And we
Wow,
would-
remember those days?
Yeah.
Playing at home on a couch rather than online.
It was awesome. Like,
I miss those
love-
days, man.
I do love online, but I mean, taken back to like everybody sitting there.
Yep. It was an event.
It was.
You know, I miss
GoldenEye.
game nights. With
Do you guys
just-
remember GoldenEye?
I remember GoldenEye. I didn't get
WCW, NWO Revenge.
WC. Yeah, I played that a ton. I
World
love
Tour
that.
was another one. Like the N64 age was like the funnest for getting everyone together and playing video games.
Do you have a game called Volkswagen Beetle Racing?
No,
So
no.
much fun.
One game that is probably one of the best games. I'm sidetracking right
That's
now,
okay.
real quick.
Deep cuts.
One of the best games I've ever played that not too many people have heard of is Eternal Darkness. It's for GameCube.
Amazing. I beat it like 8 times.
Awesome. There are not too many people
Yeah.
like when I
Takes
bring
place
up
in Rhode Island. It's very
Yes,
interesting.
It does.
Yeah, it's one of the best games
See that
ever.
face?
No, I never heard
It
it.
was one of the best games ever.
Yeah.
Only released on GameCube.
Yeah.
And it literally, like, I kept my copy of the game. I may buy another GameCube if I want to play it
For
again.
that game.
Because
that game was awesome.
And they were supposed to do a sequel. It fell apart. The studio went under. Was
Yep.
it Silicon Knights? I think
I
there's
don't-
a studio. Fell under. There was a push, like one of those pushes where they collect money
yeah.
to get the second game going.
That
I don't
game
know what happened to it. I heard about it a
So
year or two ago.
good. That was
And
so
they're
good.
trying to collect, like, I think it was like $500,000 or something, or $1 million to like
No one
put
would back
into.
it.
People were, but it falls flat. But phenomenal game, yeah. That game, what was it? The Insanity Effects.
Yeah. Well, you just start losing.
You literally
it.
check this out. You're fighting a boss. and literally your control just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It's an insanity effect of the game.
That sounds like it'd be
Or
frustrating.
like if you press right, it makes you move to the left.
Left.
Like it switches all your controls.
Because you had a gauge that measured your sanity, and the more you got hit,
Yep.
I think it was, your sanity went down, and those effects became worse and worse and
That's
worse.
interesting.
In fact, an error message would pop up on your screen
Yes.
and tell you that your controller was disconnected. And you're like, oh, what the hell? You go to plug in your controller,
next thing you
and then
know-
it just starts with the previous
Yeah.
save. And it's like, what the heck was that? Yeah.
Game was wild.
See a spider crawling across your screen all of a sudden.
Oh man.
So creative.
So okay. So obviously that game right there,
Yep.
the Marvel. My
We're
God.
way off track now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get back on
Back to the
track, yeah.
X-Men game. We'd play 4 players. We'd all pick our character. We would boost our character in action RPG video games like this. You had your tree of stuff to upgrade. So me and my friends, we found this game really interesting. Part 2 came out. Now you can use the X-Men and the villains to team up to go up against Apocalypse. Game was awesome.
That was a fun game.
And then we
Was
get
that
into-
was that PS2 as well?
That was also PlayStation 2. Then we get on Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, depending on what
What, Ultimate
game
Alliance?
you played. Yep, Ultimate Alliance 1.
Those were fantastic.
And that
games.
followed kind of the Civil War storyline.
Yep.
That was part 2.
Oh, was
part
it?
2 is Civil War storyline.
Okay.
Part 1 is Doctor Doom is doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is any story.
Yeah. Those games right there.
I remember being so in awe of that game, like Ultimate Alliance.
I have
because-
the 2 digital copies.
Yeah, I got both of them on my 360, and I just remember like, wow, I can be Venom, I can be all of these characters, and they
Green
had great
Goblin?
power sets. Yeah, and the bosses. Where else are you gonna play? Fight Fing Fang Foom and like
I want to
Like,
say, who'd you
it's
start
just-
off with? You start
Captain
off,
America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and
Iron Man.
Yep.
It was
Yeah,
awesome. They'd all
fantastic.
just talk
And then the
smack to each other.
bonuses, if you put the 4 right characters together,
Yeah.
like Fantastic Four, New Avengers.
Female Fatale.
Yeah, Femme Fatale.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It was cool, man. It was that
Yep.
like those are my kind of games. What I've learned, like that's what like when I told you about it, I wanted you guys to get on board because like I tried to play those like I said, I downloaded Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 for PlayStation 4, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. I love these games. I'm gonna find people to play with. Nobody online. Like I'm sitting there like trying to join a public
Yeah.
room. Nothing. So then
People forget those are there, yeah.
yeah, I saw him like Marvel Heroes Omega, like, and I started watching the video. I said, "Oh my God, this is like the part 3 I've been waiting for
Yeah.
on a much larger scale."
The
and
villains in this are fantastic too. When you fought Venom in this, did you get to that part?
Nope, I beat Ultron. Oh my God, yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. That's right
Yeah.
after Ultron.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You beat
Game's
Venom, and
wild.
Venom is wild.
And
And Shocker.
That,
Was it
did
Shocker?
Shocker, the first boss in the second area.
I think
like
so,
when you're
yeah.
going on the raft or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I've made
It's
it.
fantastic.
By Ultron, Shaka, and I haven't made it to Venom yet.
Yeah.
But when you're on the raft, you can see like there's all these glass panels where the
Yep.
symbiote is just like attacking people, and
I'm fascinated with this game of how good it is for the fact that it's still in beta.
yeah.
And there's so
it's
much
gonna be
stuff that's
crazy.
not even unlocked. I can't wait for the whole thing to unlock. Because basically right now it's like all you can do is kind of level up your character, equip stuff,
Yeah.
sell stuff. You kind of can't do. It didn't seem like you could do too much beyond
No,
that.
I think that
so.
even if like I think it would have been like a level cap no matter what. Like I
Yeah.
think as far as they were gonna let you go up to was like level 15, and that's for like
Even with your
like,
paid
every
character
single
right
day.
now, yeah. Yeah. So that's the interesting thing. So if you haven't checked this game out, you know, check it out on PlayStation 4. I think it's on Xbox One too.
Yeah.
I think. And you can play as any character, which is awesome.
On the
but in the beta.
Yeah.
So I think the beta closes today or tomorrow.
It's one of the two. No
Yeah.
matter what, you either got to like
Yeah.
before your stuff gets wiped, it would be.
So
today,
yeah,
tomorrow.
they're gonna wipe everything. So that's why we haven't put too much time into the game because you don't want everything to get wiped and you have
Yeah.
to start over. So
But I mean, we get the gist of it. And
Yeah.
we see what can be
it's
done.
fun.
On it.
There's a lot of people on there playing it.
Yeah.
So it
Oh
looks
my
like it's
God.
gonna be popular. It looks like it's gonna be a hit.
It's so funny that you said that. So like I'm running around. I
You
wanna
bump into
say-
somebody you know.
Well, no, I'm like running, and then like who was I? I was Nova at this point. Actually, I'm not running. I'm floating around, and I look to the side of me, and
There's another Nova.
five gambits, like one after the other, just running, like in a line, like as if these kids set this up, like I'm gambit, no, I'm gambit, I'm gambit, and they're just running through the city. I'm like,
Well,
Gambit
what's
Squad.
interesting is there's a little tidbit that explains that, because it's one of the awkward things about it is that you can be this, you can have 10 gambits or multiple. And there's a piece, I think, in the intro where they're like, oh, the cosmic cube is causing this time rift and time flux and dimensional rift or something like that. So there's an explanation to the duplication of your character, which is, at least there's something, because it is a little strange. But powers, fantastic, because once you start to get up to like level 10, I think it's a little slow at first because you only have like the 1 power or 3 powers.
It starts you off with 3.
I like getting to the second set because I'm at the second set where I get like 6 now or
what
8,
I think
something
cool
like
is you in the older games you had like a punch, like a weak punch, strong attack, and then mutant power, and then other mutant powers. This one,
There's all
like
kinds
your
of
X
stuff.
attack, you're like right off, like from the beginning, you're using mutant powers. Then there's like the circle or red button, depending on what system you have. The evade attack, where you're just like Hulk smashing through people.
Oh, but you can move them all around though too.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is you have like something like I think it's like 16 or 20 attacks that you can equip, and this seems to be like almost like DCU.
Right. So you basically what it is you can, as you keep unlocking your character and moving up, you get new
more powers.
and then you can
can
assign
map
them to your
them.
4. Yeah, you can map them to your 4 buttons, and then if you hold L2, you can map another 4 powers.
Yep.
And you're right. There's a dodge or like a phase or any type of
What's
evade
been
type
comfortable
thing.
for me is the power that allows you to shoot. The distance power is like I like to put that as like the X button on the L2.
Yeah,
Because
so-
that way it feels like it feels better. It feels comfortable. So yeah, I think that's really good. And then level 10, like I said, I think that's where it gets really fun because now you can move faster. If you have a flying character, they fly. I think if you have a walking character,
That'd be crazy.
they run. So
I hope that they.
I hope it takes off. It's a little pricey.
It is.
It is a
We
little
all agree on
pricey.
that.
Characters are costing.
Well, yeah, but it is going to be free to play, right?
Well, that's what I'm wondering if all those beta characters are still there. If it's going to be free to play,
If it's free to play, then
everybody play up to level 10.
yeah.
But then you can't. But you can't get past. You can't play past a certain story point too. I don't think if you don't.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
It doesn't. It wouldn't make sense for it to be like a freemium, even if you could spend money on it, because then it's not fair to us, us specifically, who we bought character packs.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna let them be like Agent Coulson? Like, is that who they get
Yeah,
to be?
that's a good. Or maybe they all get like Iron Man, or
but
something.
even that wouldn't be fair because Iron Man's part of the Avengers pack.
But then,
no matter.
but then again, if they can only play up to level 10,
and then that's
they really can't go any further.
Then I mean, I guess it would make sense, but still, I'd still be
Well, because we had that same thing going on with DC Universe,
Right.
where we had you got 2 free characters, and you can only go up to level 30. And after that, if you didn't pay, you were getting nothing else out of it,
Wow.
basically.
Yeah.
So then
So
that's-
I could see that being done as saying, okay, you can play every character to level 10, and it makes sense because if you want to try a character before you buy,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
And is Doctor Doom our main villain in this?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
You guys have played that way more than I have.
Well,
but-
and even that though, even that being said, like I haven't played it like that
Yeah.
crazy. But now, I wonder if we'll get like what is it, the Krull invasion?
the Skrulls, yeah.
Skrulls, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna get these storylines because Ultimate Alliance 3, when it was rumored, that's where it was.
I
Gonna pick up.
think
All the
I
Secret
heard
Wars,
something Web Warriors.
Web Warriors.
I think it might be Web Warriors with Spider Gwen and
Miles
Britain
Morales,
Spider Man,
all them.
and yeah, I think so.
That'd be cool. The Iron Spider,
Yeah.
that little genius kid.
Yep, could do with that.
Yeah, I'd like it.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Rich Marini. Hello, Rich.
Alien is out, rich,
Yeah.
and you're
yeah.
at work all day.
You look hot too.
That's not even his picture.
That's all right.
But we get the gist.
He's awesome. He's
No,
a very-
Rich is a good dude.
Yeah, he's got
I
a good
heard.
taste in movies.
I heard some rumors that speaking of movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna help out with that.
So you and I'll be on set for that. So that'll be kind of fun. Don and I are going to be in the next big horror flick in the area that Rich is doing. So
Be awesome.
yeah, Rich, keep us in mind, and again, we'll continue to promote that throughout the show as you get closer to filming. But any other final thoughts on Marvel Heroes Omega before we move on to our favorite part of the
Hopes
show?
and dreams for the game.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I think it's been a while since we've had a good Marvel game,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm really hoping that. Actually, on some other piece of news, it's an older piece of news, but seeming we're on the topic.
Yeah.
Was it Square Enix that makes Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
Has a contract with Marvel Disney to start producing Marvel games.
then
that might be a whole. That might just take it to a whole
the quality
other level.
of like
If they're doing
quality that we're gonna get from this, like
Yeah.
visually, is
yeah,
gonna be
and
crazy.
yeah, and Crystal Dynamics. I
Yeah.
think.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Can you imagine having a Marvel game that looks like Tomb Raider, or that plays like
Yeah.
the Tomb Raider, or like Rise of the Tomb Raider? Like I can't fathom it right now. I'm so excited. They did a little trailer, but it was nothing. It was
Yeah.
nothing crazy,
Little
like
teaser.
Cap Shield or something like that. But I can't even imagine what those guys are gonna do if they do a Marvel game. But for now, this is our next hope.
Yeah.
So hopefully it pans out to be what we want it to be. You know.
Ideally, what I would love is that they keep this. I don't want it to be completely open world, where like I can just run and go do this. Like I would like for it to have some sort of structure.
It seems like that
where-
though.
Yeah, and then like as you're getting like I'm not a big fan of DLCs, but with a game like this, I would love like, hey, if you want, buy this storyline and you can go do this, and as long as everybody in your group has this, you can all go do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's cool too that we get 5 players. Like,
Yeah.
like we all can play, and one of us could have like I could have Beth playing.
Well, that's
too,
the other thing. You have
or-
that co-op. You have that
Yeah.
local co-op too, which is interesting. I mean, it kind of just brings you back to when Jay Free and I started DC,
We played DC Universe Online. That was
it's sad that we really just don't have time.
we don't have time for it.
And
That was
it-
like
it's
2010,
phenomenal.
2011 that we started doing that.
It's been like 7-8 years. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
we've been
crazy.
playing, and every once in a while I pick it up to just kind of poke around, but
Yeah.
it's just tough because some of these MMOs, they're just so time intensive,
Yeah.
even more than a 60-hour story game, you know. So yeah, so we got to talk about some
Yeah, well, I want to say, Rich, you're correct. Gambit is a raging Cajun.
And mon ami.
First we charge the card, then we blow it up. That's funny stuff. All right, so we're gonna go into our.
You going first this time?
I think I might start off. This is gonna be weird, unless you want to do a different order.
No, you guys can start. This will be interesting.
Don, do you want to be end cap or middle?
Yeah, you can start. You can give me like, cause yeah, now I'm just totally gonna switch.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is our favorite part of the show. We call this the final countdown.
It's the final countdown. The final countdown.
And the topic for today's final countdown is the top 3 hardest video game levels or bosses that we had to fight, or maybe even favorites, depending on what your viewpoint is. But I'm going to start off.
You doing an honor roll?
I am not.
Okay.
But I'm starting with a level for my number 3. This game came out in 1993 for Sega Genesis, and it is the game Aladdin.
I love that game.
And the hardest level for me was when you're escaping the Cave of Wonders and you have that tidal wave of lava coming at you, and you're on the magic carpet, and the music's playing, and the genie's hand keeps telling you which way to go to avoid the other rocks and cliffs, and it gets faster and faster and faster. And I just did not have the reaction time half the time to actually. I would luck out escaping that level. So that's why it's my number 3. But I just think it's an extremely difficult level. It's fun, but the music and the animation and just like the frustration, because especially on the Sega Genesis, like the
Sega was crisp.
yeah, and it was just I couldn't I probably 50% success rate on that level
Wow.
from time to time. So that's my number 3.
Good.
You
Good.
want me to go
Number
next? Is your number 3?
That's-
Or you
yeah.
want Don to go.
Whoever.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm going to do an honorable mention.
Cool.
A game called The Evil Within.
Oh God.
So there was some DLC for this.
I didn't get
and-
to do the DLC.
But there was a creature, a very tall woman with a what do you call those old-fashioned scuba diving helmets, the iron ones, like in BioShock.
the one that
like very-
Cuba Gooding Jr. wore in that movie.
Yeah, like
I
that.
know what you're talking
And
about.
it's like a light shines out of her face. And
Yeah.
she has no arms, and she's like this creepy, like call her like the armless woman or whatever. But you're in like this dark room, and she just chases you all around. And when the light hits you, you kind of like freeze, and she
Yeah.
comes towards you, and you have to like just keep running.
Oh,
I still have not beaten this
deer in
stupid thing,
headlights.
and I see people online that beat it in like 2 or 3 minutes. And I think this goes into my point of like, there's a lot of bosses that are just hard until you figure out what the trick
The
is.
trick is,
what
yeah.
the trick is. So this is just one of those bosses that, like, to this day, like I fight her like 10, 15 times in a row, I'm like, all right, I'm done. You know what I mean? I think, okay, question. At what point do you put it down? How many times, like with a boss level or any level, at what point do you put it down? Do you say, you know what, I'm like after attempts of
I think
playing
it depends on the
straight-
person. I think it depends on the person.
No, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. For you,
For
as a
me,
person, like what?
If I would probably play until I'm blue in the face, unless, like,
If you feel like you're going to throw the controller,
I've done that.
I was never a controller thrower. To this day,
Yeah.
I'm proud to not be one.
yeah.
I will wind up a storm, but like, if I get to a point where like I know it's just the same thing happening over
Yep.
and over and over, and I can't find, I'll be done after say like 10 tries.
Yeah.
But if on that 10th try I take away a little more,
You made a
life
little
than I-
progress.
Yeah, I'm back in it.
You
for
have to
another
feel like
10.
there's progress.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel progress, it feels hopeless.
that happened with Atrocitus when I was playing
Atrocitus.
Injustice. He
Yep.
beat me like 15 times in a row.
Well, that's what happened with me with Brainiac
Wow.
in that
so,
boss level.
so
because
frustrated.
I got to that at a boss level, and
But I
have
beat
to
him.
keep replaying
Yeah.
it in the story.
Small victory.
Same thing. But so my number 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Ooh, I didn't get to play that. so-
Galactus is the final boss. So Galactus basically just, again, if you're a huge Marvel versus Capcom person, because there are people that are fanatical, like that's a game
games
that's
are really cool
that's a
as
game
well.
that's played, I think, professionally.
Yeah.
As well. Those people, it's no problem for. But for the average gamer, I feel like the Galactus character, until you kind of learn the tricks, frustrating. I mean, I've literally sometimes fought this guy 20 times. And remember, you have 3 characters.
Yeah,
You
and-
can have like Wolverine, Storm, Jean Grey,
and just bomb on him.
and just and he just destroys you.
Wow.
Like he'll just like fill up the whole screen with like those attacks that some bosses have to just fill up the whole
Yeah, there's
screen.
there's no
so you got to
blocking.
figure out like the right double jump or the right timing.
Yeah.
And you got to know like the precursor to when that attack's going to happen. And if you can't figure those things out, it's like almost impossible. So you have to have like that coordination in that. I had to have played it so many times to know, oh, he's going to do this. Oh, he's going to do this. When he does this, he does this. And it's just one of those bosses where infuriating, even on easy, absolutely infuriating sometimes because he just like pops you once with his finger
Yeah.
and it snaps you back. And your other character pops in.
You guys
and then
give me all
he
this
takes his
stuff.
hands like this across the screen, just this huge like blast, and just we're done. So it's just things like that sometimes can get frustrating. So yeah, Galactus and Marvel vs. Capcom is my my number 3.
Wow, that's awesome. So, like I told you guys, I wasn't ready for this, but just hearing this, I'm like, all right, good, I'm good to go. So, my honorable mention, guaranteed, we've all done this this fight quite a few times, is the bald bull, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, big guy, scar on his head. Come at you like another thing about learning tricks of games. That was
Punching
one of
him in the
games-
belly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hippo King, I remember you have
Hippo
to
King.
catch him in the chin, and then his pants would drop, and
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
hit him in his stomach. That game right there, I still have it on my phone. Like I'll play Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
I've never made it to Mike Tyson.
Oh no, I haven't either. Not
Nope,
like,
I haven't
and
either.
I've never been in those days. The only way you're getting codes is like in the back of Game Informers or Game
Right.
Pros, and I just back then I didn't have a subscription. But fun game, odd time period. Here's something else in odd time period.
This is your number 3 coming up? Yeah.
Number 3 would, as far as like hard levels go, Battletoads. There's a part in Battletoads where you're on these hover bikes. You were talking about like following the genie. This is in the days of Nintendo where like you would just kind of like guessing, like you'd see something coming up and then you try to like hover to one side and then you'd have to jump on the bike and your legs would kick. And there was one part in it where I'd get right to the end and I would juke the wall and go to jump, and as you're jumping you have to juke the next wall that's already on the other pad, and I would just go oof right off the map, oof over.
That
over.
reminds me of one of the what was it? One of the Ninja Turtle games with the party wagon,
Oh, okay.
where you like fell into like a ditch or something, or you had to like It reminds me of there was one of those that was really tough like that drove me crazy. It's a good number 3, Battletoads. I always forget about Battletoads. So Jay Free,
Moving on to number 2. Yeah, I'm not used to being the
yeah,
front runner here.
You're like,
he's
what
out
the
of order.
Number 2 would be, this is another level. It's from, I believe it's on the PS3, the Arkham Asylum game, the Scarecrow Dream levels.
Oh, I love that level.
Is
I
that where he's,
forgot
like,
about that level.
humongous?
Yes, and you're basically
You're running through the shadows.
Yep.
in
You
like
have
a kind
to
of a
hide from
square,
him,
right?
yeah,
Kind
and
of like
it
a square
just-
pattern.
it is so like the graphics are so cool, and he's basically Scarecrow is doing a 360 looking for you in this floating world, and you're hiding behind walls and you need to hide in the
That
shadows.
was a pain.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the butt, but it was so much fun.
You actually
at the
enjoyed
same
getting
time.
killed sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the Scarecrow animation was so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And that still looks good today.
I actually wanted to, now that I actually downloaded and I have an
the
an
reboots?
external hard drive, I want to go download those games again and play through them all.
Yeah. Did they actually remaster them or did they just HD them?
I
they probably
think,
just HD
I think
them.
they just HD'd them, but
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like when you can get the PS3 for your whatever it's called,
Yeah.
PS Today or whatever.
Yeah.
All those games, I think it just not remastered in HD
the,
now.
the frame resolutions just
Yeah.
bumped up.
But,
Yeah, that's
that's
a
my that's my
fantastic
number 3.
level.
That's a good one.
You're number 2, right?
My number 2. You see, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not
You're
I'm
so
not
out of
starting
order.
this again.
My number 2 is, and Don will appreciate this, Sadler from Resident Evil 4 at the end.
Oh, see, I didn't make it to the end. I didn't make it to the end. That game was tough.
Resident Evil 4? I beat that like 10 times
That's
on 3 different
Leon's.
consoles.
That's
yeah.
Leon's game. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sadler at the end of Resident Evil 4, he just the virus has completely taken over him.
Yeah.
He turns into like this giant spider thing. He's got eyes on all of his shoulders, like on each arm. He's got like a big eye in the middle, and you got to take out all these eyes.
I've watched somebody else do this.
At the
I
same
didn't do
time,
this.
you have to like some of the it's like 2 platforms and 2 bridges.
Yeah.
And you go over them, and some of them like collapse sometimes.
This is
So
GameCube, right?
Any system it was on,
But
it was the
I
same.
think it was like
It was originally GameCube,
Okay.
yeah. Phenomenal, and just like it was just so. I'm not even gonna say it was the most frustrating boss, but it was just so entertaining, so well built.
Yeah.
The level was well designed. You had, like I said, the 2 parallel kind of platforms with like exploding barrels and ammunition stuff, and you had like 2 like kind of towery things on one side.
Yeah.
Crane that you could throw at them, and the ending with because you've probably watched it, right? The whole
I did.
thing
I
ends.
watched it get beat.
With Ada with the rocket launcher and just the way it ends is just fantastic. I think it really, because sometimes it's a game that was so good all the way through, and sometimes you get to the end of these games and the boss levels don't live up to the rest of the game.
Yeah.
This one absolutely did. Like this one was just through the roof. So Sadler boss fight Resident Evil 4. That's my number 2.
Number 2. So, number 2, you're talking about the Ninja Turtles game. You're talking about
Yep.
the paddy wagon. Well, you can't make it to the paddy wagon unless you make it through the water and the sewer. All the electric, seaweed, and you got to dismantle the bombs.
Was that Baxter at the end, or was that?
No, when you make it to the end of that, all you have to do is go and
I'm thinking of the arcade.
You're thinking of the arcade game.
Yeah.
This is the original,
original,
one
yeah.
for Nintendo.
Yeah.
well, and you obviously you don't get any health throughout that map. Whatever you ended the prior map with your 4 turtles, you better hope. that
Did you
saved their
beat the
life.
original or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I've made it to
Never even came close.
the blimp. I've made it past the sewer. I've made it past the paddy wagon where
Yeah.
it's like the little one rolling through
I
the
think the
city.
furthest I ever got was the paddy wagon.
Yeah, me too.
You guys know you can make it into their turtle blimp, right?
No, I
Turtle
did not.
blimp
This is
like
news.
the
This is
next
breaking news.
part of that.
30 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what we had John Viveros. He beat it, right? Didn't he?
I believe so.
I remember-
I think John's still watching.
Yeah,
right
I
now,
think
so.
I think John beat it. Did he say he went back like 15 years later and beat it?
That's I do recall that.
Yeah, I think on our when he was on our second or third episode, he said that we talked about favorite games or something, and he said he went back and actually beat that as an adult, not as a child. I think he was saying he was like in his early 20s or something like that. So John, if you're out there, let us know because
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's an impressive feat to be able to do it.
Makes me think of how about all the other games that stomped us as kids? Like, you know what I mean?
Like if you go back and try them now, can you do them,
Yeah.
or will they still stomp you? Chances
know,
are
like-
they probably still stomp you because you're so used to a new way of gameplay now.
Yeah.
You're probably even worse at those games than you were before.
I'll say this.
you know.
That was your number, what, 2?
2.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Before we get into our number 1, then that's a great point that you brought up. I get so frustrated when I watch these videos on YouTube now
just
about
flying through the stuff.
people flying through Super Mario Brothers in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I could not even get to that level, whatever, 8-4, what it was?
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
that last level in King Koopa and I could not get that. I got so frustrated. Now I'm watching these jerks fly through
just,
it. Like yeah,
And the kid's just like sitting there with like 2
warp
fingers,
zones.
just like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then like you see him, he'll
Well,
die.
if you know all the warp
quick
zones,
restart.
I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
You
but
only have to
still,
play like
it's
2
like-
levels.
No, it's like you don't. To me, if you're flying through it, to me, it's like I like to enjoy like they're not even paying attention to what they're doing as they're
No,
looping
just
through.
like jump here,
Well,
here,
but see,
here,
but
here,
think
done.
about it. That's kind of starts more challenges, and those types of challenges didn't exist back then. Think about like okay, Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
You have what is it? There's an achievement or trophy for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Beating the game in 4 hours. It takes like what 12 hours, 15 to beat it if you're just pacing.
Yeah.
So to do it in 4 hours is quite a feat. So
Yeah.
you know,
I feel like that would be the second attempt too, where they know what
it has
they
to be
can
on
cut
super
out.
easy.
Yeah,
Like
and they can just power right through the game.
yeah, but you get stuck on one boss, you're done.
Yeah.
You know, and there goes that whole time you put in to try to get it.
true.
So I really feel trophies and achievements because I think sometimes there's just some out there that can make the game really interesting and challenge you to do things that you would not normally do. It's like back in our day, how many kids thought to be like, oh yeah, let me see how fast I can get through Super Mario Brothers. Where like today, people
Yeah,
will probably go
we
back.
didn't want to
And
give the controller up. Like we're sitting there trying to.
you
like,
want to
go
enjoy
backwards
it and
get
appreciate
it.
it. And
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I feel you on that. And the kids today that are playing, I mean, some of them just fly through this stuff. It's crazy.
It's a different
You know.
set of skills.
Yeah, and there's more women playing.
Which is awesome.
My daughter plays Call of Duty. So, you know, and she's like 18,
Yeah.
19. So her playing Call of Duty with, you know, her boyfriend and her friends. You know, I can't picture like when I was in high school, the girls playing games like that. They would play games like Tetrises and Parappa the Rapper and stuff like that.
Yes.
So yeah. Actually, I have to do another honorable mention. But anyway,
All right.
we on to me or no?
No. So that was number 2. So now
That
we're
was
going on
number two. So
number
we're on-
1.
Yep, that was Don's too, right?
My number 1 is also a Sega Genesis game that I played. I actually played it in the arcade version.
Sega.
Thank you, Don. See, you're going to be like our hype guy and our sound effects guy. I played this in the arcade as well.
Yeah.
And I had it on the console version, and I could not get. You want to go back to talking about how many times do you try to fight the same guy and how frustrated you get when you get a little bit further and a little bit further. The game, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
The character, Goro.
Goro.
I could not get past Goro for the life of me when I was younger, and that frustrates me because he's not even he's the
Second boss.
build up to
Yeah.
the boss, and it's just to me, Goro was the toughest boss that I've ever had to fight. Well, again, I'd probably do better, but as you know, like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid, so
Maybe not.
frustrating.
Maybe you wouldn't do better.
Yeah, that's a good point
I
too.
don't know.
That's a good point. So yeah, that's,
Goro's a good one. That's a classic one.
My number 1.
All right. I have to add another honorable mention here
yeah.
because I just thought of this when we were talking about girls playing games. So it was the 20-year anniversary of Parappa the Rapper.
Crack, crack, crack the egg into the bowl.
Bingo. You hit it. So I downloaded it.
Yeah.
And so I was showing Faith, I showed my daughter,
Yeah.
this is what we used to play when I was your age in high school. She started laughing at me.
Yeah.
Because I'm really flying through it. She's like, oh, this should be easy. She gets to the cheap chicken.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She was getting so frustrated. She must have did it like 20, 30 times.
yeah.
And when she beat it by like a hair. You know what I mean? By like, you know, good going on bad.
Yeah, like,
or bad going on fail or whatever it was. And it was just so funny because it was like, your generation hasn't experienced this yet, have you? like, but that's crack the egg into the bowl.
Yeah.
Cheap's the name of
That's
So,
that's further down.
yeah.
It was how to make a fish-filled cake or something like
Yeah.
that. It was something weird.
But anyway, that's one of my favorite ones because I remember that frustrating me when I was her age,
Ugh.
and it's still frustrating,
And then it's like,
and it's still
retry.
and it's still frustrating people today.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the chicken gets all red and mad at you and pops an
Yeah.
egg out at you, and then the little chick pops out at you and
Yeah.
starts screaming at you.
You
so
stink.
it's pretty fun. But okay, so my last one, my number 1. I know you guys aren't Xbox guys, but Gears of War.
Nope. You got me on that.
Gears of War 1, General Ram, who was the last boss in Gears of War 1. Fun co-op boss, because what it is you're on a train, and the train's going, and you're on the train, and your co-op player. And if you're solo, obviously, it's AI. If you're AI playing on hardcore, forget it because the AI just gets stomped like right away. So basically, he goes back and forth up this train, and he has these what they call I think they're krill. They're like these bats that fly around.
Yeah.
And they fly up in the air and they come down on you and they just try to like destroy you basically. So you can only hit him when the bats are in the air.
Oh God. So.
And he's also going back and forth attacking you, so he's not stationary.
Yeah.
So you're trying to run back and forth on this train cart with these bat things, krills that are trying to come and kill you, and they kill you pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
And he's attacking you head on, going up and trying to shoot you.
You can have a 4-player team on that.
No, that was only two
Two.
co-op then. So
tough.
I remember just having to play that a million times over, even with a buddy. On
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we played it on hardcore, but even on normal, if you're by yourself, it could be a little challenging. But just a phenomenal boss. Graphically, Gears of War is always amazing graphics. I mean, if you've seen any commercials
I've definitely seen the commercials
or
Yeah,
videos
sure.
of it,
Yeah.
graphically, it's amazing. So way ahead of its time too. It was like that. Halo was always big on 360, but this was that first gritty, grimy.
Halo's story was
Kinda.
never like really gripping. I
Halo,
feel
the
like-
first two were, and then after that, it kind of
with
flailed a little bit.
specifically with the first two is where I was like aggressively with the multiplayer aspect.
What,
of
Halo?
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Halo 3, I want to say like didn't have internet or something, so like me and my friend would like sit there and
Yeah.
play the story, and it was cool, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, Halo to me was fantastic, but like this game had that bloodiness, that darkness, that whole different vibe that a lot of games didn't have at the time. So the General Ram character, and he's massive. Like
Yeah.
he's just absolutely massive. So, and it always sucked because when you're in hardcore and your partner gets stomped,
That's
it's
it.
hard to rescue him, given what's going on. So.
Yeah.
A lot of it's like sniper rifling from one side of the train and then trying to blind fire from cover on the other side when he comes to you. So it's tough, and you got to jump over all these obstacles in the middle, too. You can't just run back and forth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty frustrating. And when they redid Gears of War for its anniversary, fantastic if you haven't played it. It's phenomenal. So, and you get that really cheap right now, too.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, if you own an Xbox One, go buy like Gears of War 4 or I think even the original Gears of War. You get like the other ones on 360 to download for free.
That's
so like
awesome.
2, 3, and Judgment and all those other ones. So it's pretty cool.
Good deal.
Yeah, so that's my number one.
Wrapping it up, the Dawn.
Number 1. So before you ask me, what kind of games is it that you finished then? Now, back in the day, when I had time to like completely finish games
Yep.
and like completely, skip school for like 4 days in a row, hiding in my bedroom to play this game.
Which we do not advocate.
we do
Nope.
not condone that.
Kids,
Go to school.
stay in school.
And sneak your video games to school with you.
Just
No.
play them on your
You-
phone.
yeah,
You're
play 'em
good.
on your phone. That's exactly.
Oh, man. I can't even believe it. Kids these days have phones in school.
Yeah, they're more powerful than anything we had as a kid.
So, most difficult at the time, most fun. I gave this game my all, literally my all the time. Final Fantasy VII. You get to this final battle, and everything that because God knows you put 99 plus hours of gameplay into this. You feel like you got everything mastered. All your materia it created new materia from the materia you mastered. You have everything. You got Knights of the Round Table.
Feeling good. You're the man.
And you get smashed like 3 minutes into it. Boom, done. And it's like, whoa, wait, what just happened?
What did I do all this work for?
And then you learn the trick.
Yeah.
Another segue.
How long did you grind it out before you?
Before I figured out what the trick was?
Yeah.
I want to say I played him continuously over and over again for like 3 hours, while just like snacking. I had nobody watching me. Like, this is me in my room, like just playing this over and over and over. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I have, X summon and X cast and all this. And I literally sat there and I picked all my moves, because that's what X
Yeah, 'cause
does,
you picked in
and
advance,
mimics and
yeah.
everything like that. So I picked all my moves, put my controller down, and watched the move set that I did.
Yeah.
Finished Sephiroth off. Then I did the Omni Slash, which was the greatest payoff. Is him and Cloud get pulled into the other dimension or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, core of the planet. And then it's just them two, sword to sword. And then you just boom, limit break, Omni Slash, boom. And that's it. It's a wrap for Sephiroth, who's an amazing character.
But how many times it take?
Really, like honestly, like
Okay, measure it in time.
I would say it took me the first time fighting Sephiroth like 4.5 hours total. Like 3 hours of just completely getting obliterated, and then like the last
some
hour
progress,
and, a
and
half
then-
just like sitting there and like I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna do Knights of the Round like 50 times to him. Then I'm gonna hit him with Ultima like 18 times. You know, that's what I just did. I cast something, I X-casted it, I mimicked that move. And then
So
I
much
had-
strategy in Final
Yeah.
Fantasy.
I just kept rolling with like
Some
mimic
of
everything.
some of their games more than others.
Final Fantasy VII to this day like would probably like
The last
be-
couple ones, not so much.
No,
They're more.
for me it was Final Fantasy VI, which is FF3 to us
Yeah.
for Super Nintendo. Then Final Fantasy VII is incredible. Final Fantasy X.
Where'd you
and
stop?
then- I mean, I have 15 right now,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, I don't really like it. It looks beautiful, the monsters, the fighting, everything's good, but it's like you gave me a boy band who's on his way, you know, like the lead singer is on the way to marry his wife, and that's what
bit of
my
a
main
turn-off.
story
Yeah,
is.
that's a turn-off.
It is. Bro, you like change their clothes.
The world's
like, fashion
expansive,
shows.
though. It's like
Yeah,
it's a
I mean
really
that's
expensive
it. But I mean, you know, it's like you, your photographer buddy, a cook friend, and this guy who likes to build stuff outside go on a road trip because you're going to meet your wife, and everything that happens.
It's the
along way.
Hangover Final Fantasy
Yeah,
stuff.
It literally is like Backstreet Boys Hangover. That's what Final Fantasy 15 is.
You heard it here first.
That's it.
That's a great description.
Yeah. Hey.
Jeff's favorite things: Hangover and boy bands.
Hey, well, one of the two is correct. I don't like being hungover.
I saw about the movie.
Oh, the movie's great, except for the second or third one. Yeah, I want to point out before we wrap up, I want to just kind of give a shout out to people that are commenting. You know, in the comments, what were some of your favorite video games? What were some of your hardest levels or bosses that you had trouble with? Also, I came up with this idea. I want to start doing giveaways. I don't know with at 59 Media if they're going to start doing giveaways again too. But I also want to know, what would you guys want, like as far as gift cards or prizes, if we do some type of contest? Gift cards to maybe like a Newberry Comics or a Best Buy or something generic like Target, or would you guys want like an actual physical prize for you to take? Let us know in the comments. Anything else, guys, before we wrap up? Any things?
The first contest is to see who can eat the most foot-long hot dogs on the air without chewing.
I would lose
Oh man.
We should do something like that.
intentionally.
On-air. We should do something like that though, an on-air contest.
We could do that. We could do
that'd
something
be
like
fun.
that. We got everybody here at 59 Media and fill this room up with people and
Yeah.
do some type of contest. That'd be fun. Okay, so before we get out of here, we're gonna run up the bat signal. KB.
Oh, that's a diamond.
You can do it.
Okay.
I'm
Wow.
good.
Wow. All right. First of all, Don, do you have anything you want to plug?
Game King, Game King, Game King. Ooh, video good master, Game King. Fall River, Massachusetts.
So,
something South Main Street.
Yeah, Game King, which is literally right across the street from the studio. There are our buddies over there. If you like tabletop RPGs, they do different types of gaming nights every night.
Stop in and pay them a visit when we're done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have comic books, pop figures, collectibles, statues. If you're into gaming, they have dice and all different types of board games for you to purchase. So yeah, we go hang out there from time to time. We do a Marvel game from time to time.
A little snazzy,
So
snazzy.
check them out. Also, check out our Facebook page if you're listening to the audio-only version. And if you're watching us on Facebook, check out our Facebook page. Free Your Geek podcast on Facebook. We do covers of the week every Wednesday. KB does Marvel covers. I do DC covers. The last week, the fourth part of The Button came out this week, which is
Did
awesome.
you see that the cover? I didn't get to read it yet.
Cover's awesome.
read it?
The story's really good. Really good. I'm very excited.
There's going to be a Superman one,
It's
right?
setting up. It's setting up for the next event in July, I believe.
Which isn't far away.
Yeah, so that's kind of
that's
cool.
exciting.
We have Instagram, we have Twitter. Free Your Geek on both of those. We have Free Your Geek. What's the other thing we do on Twitch? What's it called?
Oh,
Free Your Geek Gaming.
Yeah, we haven't started it up
Yeah.
yet.
No,
We
but
gotta-
now we're talking about a video
Yeah.
game show. I have Injustice 2. You have Injustice 2. I'm assuming eventually
We
you'll
both
get
have
it.
Marvel.
We all have Marvel.
Heroes
We'll
of
have to do something.
That's it.
No new show next week.
we should, we
so
should do like game night at my house.
We should.
we could do that.
We definitely should.
Bring it back, like you just
Yeah.
talked about. Forget the online stuff.
Be awesome to
Bring it back.
Have the three of us.
Get a
go,
pizza.
hell yeah. It's gonna be. Remember the Bigfoot pizza, like
Yes.
Little Caesars, like get a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
like everyone at the house, like yeah, your mom's the best, dude.
20 people swapping controllers and pizza.
Oh yeah,
Best time ever.
That's it.
I want to say that John agrees that the cover of the button.
Oh, the
part
new
four
one's awesome.
Might be the
That-
best cover
that
of the
classic
year.
one, the
I agree with him.
Flash one. Yeah.
I agree with him, and I'll show you guys when we go.
I don't know.
off
I
air.
kind of like the what was it the Batman one with Bruce Wayne, not Bruce Wayne, what's his father's name?
Thomas Wayne?
Thomas Wayne standing over them, and then
Then yeah,
that was a good Linux.
That was
cover.
also good.
That was a good one.
So again, if you're listening to the audio only, check us out our Facebook page, all our different social media things. Again, check out Pachico's Furniture, 50% off your entire purchase for the month of May. And again, no new show next week. We have next week off, but we'll come back to you the week after that, and maybe we'll be talking Wonder Woman. Maybe we'll be talking something else. I don't know yet.
A lot of stuff coming.
There's a lot of
So
stuff
awesome.
coming down the pipeline. But until next time,
Start your weekend with your geek friends.
And get your geek on.
On.
bye everybody.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.